This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com, and this is going to be my weekly review of the Wrestling Observer newsletter that Piper's going to help me out with here today. So I'll jump right into it. NXT apparently has a new logo, and no input from this logo was done by the NXT people as far as the future of NXT and its rebranding. Apparently the people making the decisions are going to be Vince McMahon, WWE President Nick Khan, John Laurinaitis, Kevin Dunn, and Bruce Pritchard. Apparently all these changes are happening because when NXT went from going to head-to-head with AEW to not having any competition and still getting low ratings every week, it is not reflected well on the people that were running it. And now the crowds are back, and Raw and SmackDown have been up beyond what they were during no crowd times, and AEW is also up. There's pressure on NXT because NXT is still underperforming. Apparently, WrestleMania in Dallas next year is going to be 2 days instead of one, April 2nd and 3rd in Dallas. And I do know World Class Pro Wrestling is planning some events around that time in the Dallas area, and I'm sure I'm going to be covering those because I do enjoy Texas, as all of you know. As far as Brock Lesnar and The Rock, as Piper's causing me some issues here, apparently The Rock is not going to be part of the WrestleMania in Dallas, but he will likely be in the 2023 WrestleMania in Los Angeles. But it's fully up to him. He's a big star. He can decide when he wants to appear. His latest movie, Jungle Cruise, has already made over $100 million, and that's just domestically. It's almost at $101 million domestically, and it has $86.9 million outside the U.S. And Johnson has already agreed to do a sequel. As far as Adam Cole goes, Mike Johnson has reported that WWE sent out an internal memo on August 30th saying that Cole was no longer with the company. WWE has shut down its its Japan branch. There was rumors they wanted to start their own Japanese brand and Mexico brand. But right now they fully shut down their Japanese brand. As far as ratings, this past week, Dynamite featuring CM Punk did a 0.37. Rampage featuring CM Punk and Sting was on Dynamite too, by the way. Rampage, I don't know if Sting was on, but it did a 0.34 rating. NXT did a 0.17 rating. Raw did a 0.55 rating, and SmackDown did a 0.59 rating, with Brock Lesnar advertised but not appearing on the SmackDown show. And those ratings show exactly what I was saying, that Triple H's quote-unquote baby NXT, it's still in the 0.1s where everything else is up. So you can, for all you people that say Triple H would save the WWE's product if Vince ever died, his track record shows that no, he's not good at being a booker. And he's not even the head of talent anymore. He was replaced by John Laurinaitis. So take a sip of my Beat protein shake here. NXT August 24th in Orlando at 180 fans. SmackDown, August 27th in Little Rock, had 4,000 paid, 5,375 in the building. Raw, this past Monday in Oklahoma City, had 3,500 paid, 4,818 in the building. That's not a great number for a city like Oklahoma City. 3,500 for Raw when WWE probably hasn't been there for a very long time. I would have expected better. NXT did a TV taping at the Chase Hotel in St. Louis, August 30th, before 340 fans. The Dynamite, September 1st, at the Now Arena in Chicago, did 5,900 fans. So Dynamite actually outdrew Raw and SmackDown. In other news, Daphne Unger, whose real name is Shannon Sproul, who was in WWE and TNA and used to date CM Punk, passed away on September 2nd from suicide. She had done a suicide video. I only saw a few seconds of it, and she definitely, I couldn't watch anymore because by the point someone sent it to me, she had already passed, and I didn't want to see the mental state she was in. It's too bad help couldn't get to her in time. She was a former child actress that worked for WCW from 1999 to 2001, and TNA from 2008 to 2011. In 2003, she was signed to a OVW WWE development deal, but was released 5 months later. Jacques Rougeau, one of my trainers, is working on a new show. It's going to be like what do you call it? America's Got Talent type show for Canadian wrestlers. And the show is actually it's going to be done in French, but it will air on the Hannibal TV, as well as, from what I understand, some Quebec TV stations. And I'm not allowed to say what the prize is going to be, but they're working on a pretty good prize for the winner of this show. So more information on that to come. Vic Theriault, who is the brother of Jean-Yves Theriault, the famous kickboxer who I've trained with a bunch, is also involved in putting this show together. They did a similar show for kickboxing about 4 or 5 years ago, and it's going to be the same production team putting it together. Apparently, WWC Puerto Rico almost fully went out of business a few weeks ago, but their television station renewed them. And apparently the money that they're going to get from the television station is going to allow them to be around for a while longer. Of course, they have a very shady history of not paying wrestlers, treating wrestlers extremely poorly, and actually allowing a murder to take place in their dressing room in 1988 with Bruiser Brody's murder, as I shut this phone off. Lacey Von Erich, according to Dave Meltzer here, who owns the struggling SWE company in Texas, has received a lot of negative reaction for running a show August 28th in Irving, Texas, with Scott Steiner, Selena De La Renta, Chavo Guerrero, and Teddy Long all advertised for the show, but not actually appearing on the show, which, let's say, is very shady. You don't think people are going to notice that Scott Steiner is not on the show? Apparently, they also tried to do a Facebook live stream that fans were charged money for this event, but the live stream failed, and they have yet to make any formal announcement on whether fans are going to get any refunds for that show. Another shady thing they did is for the 2 weeks leading into the show, they had free kids tickets, which basically screws over everyone that bought the kids tickets in advance. So terrible business practices. And yeah, according to Meltzer, they canceled their September 11th show in Hamilton, Texas. They lost a lot of the people that were funding the show when Lacey bought into the company. In MMA news, UFC on August 28th did a 0.23 rating on ESPN for their main card. The prelims were streamed online, so there's no numbers for the prelims. So I'll get into some of the news. Mike D saying hello to Piper. Bob saying what's up. Scott checking in. Someone mentioning my eye is multicolored. Yes, I am magical. Geraldo thinks Vince can do better than Triple H at running NXT. Well, Triple H failed, so getting in the 0.1 ratings, embarrassingly losing, getting basically spanked by AEW. I'd say he failed, so you can't do much better than that. Steve, how's Piper doing? Oh, she's beating me up lately. Scott says hi to Piper. Stevie, yes, Adam Cole does look like a high school freshman. Thomas, am I going to watch CM Punk's pay-per-view match? I've actually never ordered a wrestling pay-per-view in my entire life. So the answer is no. I've watched his interviews that have been online lately. He's done 3 now. They're getting stale for sure. Sam says WWE can't do American wrestling, let alone Japanese or Mexican wrestling. Mexican wrestling is really terrible. I can't watch it. No offense, but it's just too goofy for me. Stevie thinks WWE needs to unify all the belts, have one champion in each division. There is too many champions. There's like somewhere between 20 or 30 champions. None of the belts mean anything. Carlos says Triple H has been trained by Vince. Thomas has heard that the Blood Hunter is the next big AEW signing. I wouldn't expect to ever see the Blood Hunter in AEW. He's far too violent for them. Amy says it's going to be more than a pissing match when Vince takes over NXT. John was a fan of Daphne. What I just want to know is all these people that say Daphne's so great, and the ones from the wrestling industry that were saying they were so close with her now and how sweet she was, where were you during her time of need? I've never met her. I tried to get an interview with her a couple of times. It always fell through. Sunset Moth says Canyon's story will be on Dark Side of the Ring by the end of the month. The Dark Side of the Ring season this year has been lackluster. I was never a fan of Canyon, to be honest with you. He was another one that committed suicide, I believe. But honestly, I was never a fan of Canyon. I did meet him once in an airport in Louisville, Kentucky, and he seemed nice. Hello to Scott. Chad, why would CM Punk come back now? Well, supposedly he's making $3 million a year. He's only 44-ish. Why not? You going to turn down $3 million a year to work a couple times a week? And they're pushing him as a top star. Frank checking in from Chatham, Ontario. Wendo, what happened to the live feed for GNW events? I said I was going to try and do it, But because we had to do 2 events in one day, because of the Ontario regulations and the city of Kingston's COVID regulations, the long and the short story of it is they were supposed to allow me 500 people to the original event. Then they changed it to 250. Then they changed it to 100. By the time we had it changed to 100, which was about a week before the event, we had already sold 100 tickets for the original event. So we had to create a second event with about 6 days notice in the afternoon. And they wouldn't let us in the arena any earlier, so we had to do pretty much 2 events back to back. And we were just too busy to worry about a live stream. The people that were supposed to live stream it just ended up recording it, and I'll be honest, those people did a really shitty job of recording it. I'm never using them again. I've been editing it and saving it, but I'm really not impressed with how they recorded it at all. But our production is only going to get better. I did learn a lot. The fans loved the show. The wrestlers were happy to be back involved. I was happy to be back working with my own company. I'm sick and tired of working with other companies. So I really hope they loosen restrictions. I'm not going to try another one anytime soon. They need to allow more than 100 people in an event. But we're going to be back stronger than ever with lots of events once things open up more here. Bill, the $1 Million Man himself, tips $50. I really appreciate it, Bill. Will Ontario enter lockdown again? There's still high restrictions. As I said, it's not like the US where you can have arenas packed full of people. I mean, we're under incredibly restrictive rules still. There's still reduced hours at most places that are open. The mask rules are still in effect. I hope we don't have to go into lockdown again. We've had about 70% vaccinated now in Canada. So I'm going to end it here. There's a lot more comments, but I have some things to do. So thank you very much for the tip, Bill. Donnie, outdoor events are more lenient. However, there's too many factors that can ruin an outdoor event. First of all, it's already getting cold here. And rain can happen and completely ruin your event. So I've only ever done one outdoor event, and that was a fully sponsored show where I did not have to worry about ticket prices. Carlos, yes, I am vaccinated. I got vaccinated in Dallas back in March and April because my medical insurance in the US did not cover me for COVID. It was going to be a ridiculously high price to cover me for COVID. And at that time, this was before SWE went on a nosedive, which they've almost hit rock bottom now. But when I was working with them, they were getting about 1,000 a show. So I was around a lot of people. So to be on the safe side, I did get vaccinated. I put a lot worse into my body over the years of vaccine. So Bill, thanks again for the 50. Really helps. Rockin' Robin coming up. Max Payne interviews coming up. And I'm working on more. I appreciate you a lot, Bill, for all your help. Have a great afternoon, everybody.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not